so many flat earthers still around, which is really, really good.
He can. Maybe he could just not put it up to his mouth. Martin, it's a bit loud. There's elderly people in the front. Come on!
I know, but my voice projects really loudly. I can't. It's beyond my job description.
Martin, as you are, it's fine. Just leave it out a bit. That's fine.
Okay, so my subjects, if you don't know me already, I know there's a few of you that do, I just want to say hi to that lovely lady who came all the way from Belgium.
Yeah.
You are fantastic, you are. What a delight you are as well. Big sparkly star. Thank you for coming, yeah? Yeah, so my subject of alternative history is history that they didn't teach you in the history books, basically. And it's just been the most unbelievable subject I've ever come across since Flat Earth, you know? You know, Flat Earth is the truth of truths, but it's a gateway truth, you know, and it sends you on to so many other rabbit holes, and this one was mine, alternative history. Now, things have changed since when I first started looking into this. It was in the realms of, well, this is far out there conspiracy, you know, the history books are correct. Nowadays, so much evidence has come forward that, you know, the Tartarian civilization that we call was erased from civilization. This is the whole idea behind what we're doing here and decoding, is because the civilization was eradicated from the timeline. And its technologies, one of which we're going to start here, star thoughts, are super futuristic technology based on fractal geometry, and they are everywhere in the world. So I could literally show you any destination, and you know, it's not as if there's like the internet when these things were supposed to be produced in the 16 and 1700s, where everyone shares architectural plans, yet you find these in the island of Taiwan, for example, or South America, or South Africa. It doesn't matter where you are, you see these highly technological bastions, or star forts, as they're called. Now, the idea behind them is this, according to the official narrative, is these are supposed to be military bastions. Yet, yeah, if you go into, you know, if you're into geometry at all, these are based on fractal geometry, and there's a science behind these which is just mind-blowing, connected with water, structuring water, magnetizing water, and I really do think it was something to do with holding this realm in place. Now, I'm going to talk about an ancient grid that was in this place, okay, and it was a technology of antiquities buildings holding this place in stasis, okay? And what I mean by that is, well, I'll get to it when I get there. So
the clicker works,
Martin, you can press the button.
The clicker
yeah,
works.
but it doesn't magnify. Oh, all right then.
Any flat earthers?
Listen, I come from Wales, and I just arrived in the realm only like hours ago. It feels like, you know.
Sheep for you.
This is all new to me, Dave.
Martin, go on.
The whole realm is new to me. Topic only. So yeah, fractal geometry, absolutely fantastic. Star thoughts, now they're everywhere. There's ones in Lille. Sure, you know the ones in loads in Belgium, France, Basel. And what we find is these star thoughts, they are literally all connected to one another. There's literally tunnel systems, and well, in this case you can see these are trench systems apparently from time to battle. But they have dug extensive tunnel systems, especially in the ones of what they used in the First World War, which was Fort Dumont, Fort Bow, which were old, really old school star thought systems that were utilised in the First World War, which were all linked by what we call the Hindenburg line. So they were all like ancient tunnel systems that were linking these star thoughts together. They say that they were produced early half of the 1800s. I think that they were much older. Now, if you look on the front of red brick buildings in the modern day, everything seems to have arrived in the late 1800s, almost as if there wasn't a world before. So it'll say 1870, 1880, 1888, 1900. That's all you get for antiquity. Obviously, we've got the Gothic churches. We'll get to them in a minute. They go further back. They're anything from up to 800 to 1,000 year old, they tell us. But the red brick buildings that are everywhere in antiquity, AI seems to be in the notion these days of they're being built around 400 or 500 years ago. So what I think is going on is after a reset of civilization, one thing I did discover is every single civilization that ever existed has vanished off the face of the earth. Okay? And I think the same will happen to this civilization. Why would we be any different? Okay? So what do I think it's connected with? Well, I think it's connected with cycles. And I think that these inventions here were connected with these cycles as well. And what I'm talking about is the cycles of the sun. The sun. Well, the sun's taken a change. It's not the nice yellowy sun that it used to be. Now it's gone from sodium lighting to LED lighting. It's, yeah, and everywhere in the world is having like really strange weather conditions, and they're all doing the same thing. It's heating up. It's heating up everywhere in the world, and now the official narrative with them is climate change lockdowns. It's going to be too hot. The air is going to be unbreathable. You're just going to have to stay in. So I think that this has been coming for a long while, and I think that they know that the weather is going to get really extreme for us. And I think it's happened in the past. I think in the 1800s, there's evidence that people just completely covered up. Everyone's got a hat on. Everyone's got a suit on. All the women are in like crinoline gowns to touch the ground, even though everything's muddy. It makes no sense. Unless you're covering yourself up from the environment. And every single human being, bar none, children included, all wear hats in the 1800s. And you see the seaside resorts, nobody's actually going in the sea, everybody is fully dressed, and they say it's like decency, like, you know, that they didn't want to show any anger back in the day, but I really do think that they're protecting themselves from the environment. And I think this sort of thing has happened before. No. So I think that these things, they structure the water, they structure cities. This one is a really interesting one. This is from the English Civil War, and it's of Oxford. And Oxford in the UK, and you find so many more Staffords than you actually think that in the UK, that are in the UK. Oxford was completely surrounded. And why? Well, the elite keep their brats there. They don't want anything going on with this place. And all of the brains and all of the elite brats are in the centre of the Stafford. Why is that? Because this technology is a consciousness amplifying technology. It amplifies chi energy. It amplifies chi energy. They've got people living in the centre of these Staffords, and they're having really abundant lives, and they're feeling really fantastic. With all that water rushing around you, I'm not surprised. Now, I was there here a week ago in Venice, and to try and decode the place absolutely blew my mind. Well, they say that, you know, there's a city, you know, that is basically floating, but it's more than that. They're saying that, like, this basilica here, which is like at least showing 3 different cultures of civilization: Byzantine, Moors, overwhelmingly Moors, and the Christians. But this thing must weigh, I don't know, 1 million tons. It is massive. And they say under Venice, it's all on tree trunks. Tree trunks that have been solidified, apparently, pushed into the swamp that Venice is built on, and then all of under that, I'll show you a plan of it in a minute, all under that is supposed to be solidified wooden logs pushed into the swamp that's underneath, and then there's a city of 500,000 people put on top. So, I've asked the residents there, they seem to have a narrative, oh, Marco Polo brought special trees back. Yeah, really, so there's apparently no Suez Canal at this period, so they're going the long way around, if that's true, so I'm not buying that. But I have seen trees in New Mexico myself that are literally turned to rock. In no time at all, they have literally petrified from whatever circumstances. So there might be some electromagnetic or some frequency or something that could turn wood into literally petrified trees, which would be like stone, which you could build a civilization on, like Venice, which is what's happened, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. So yeah, I was there. So yeah, I tried to decode. I found a few of these logs, and you know, just checked the wood out. They don't actually seem like they're actually fossilized, but this is all petrified. The place is quite petrifying. So what we find for antiquity is the same narrative across the board. So this is every country that I can think of, okay guys? Is they have massive complexes out in the middle of nowhere, okay? So this could be a sanatorium, it could be an asylum, it could be a hospital, it could be any number of these anomalous buildings. Some of them they say are monasteries, because basically the first thing after a reset that happens is the church come into these things, which we call cathedrals or basilicas, and they repurpose them. I don't think that these, what you see here, their original purpose had anything to do with the dogma of a religion. I think they have nothing to do with religion. I think that these were healing centres. More than that, I think that these were playing a part in holding this realm together. You know, this is St Paul's Cathedral, apparently built after London was destroyed in some sort of reset in 1666. Drop for one, if you're into the added 1,000 years scenario, and then you get the year 666. And the narrative for the tower, you know, for the London burning makes no sense whatsoever. If you read the diary of Samuel Pepys, it's just ridiculous. No one dies. Yeah? The lead run off the roof of St Paul's Cathedral and run in a river down Fleet Street. It just, you know, just trying to envision what Samuel Pepys has apparently seen from across the river makes no sense. But anyway, it gives the reasoning to put into the official narrative for Sir Christopher Wren, okay, to build all of these fine churches, including St Paul's Cathedral, after that date. Now, what you find is there's literally a narrative and a stone inside St Paul's Cathedral where apparently after it burnt down, Sir Christopher Wren has gone in and he's asked a boy to go and find a stone to hold his string line to put a new foundation for where the church is going to go. And the boy comes over and it's literally got in Cadbury Sergi, a phoenix on there. It's literally saying to rise from the flames. So because it was so iconic at the time, you know, considering what had happened, they got that stone there. Now you can visit in the modern day this story of when he laid the foundation out for it. So yeah, these sciences are working on, they're completely different to the sciences of today, telluric sciences. These are etheric sciences, okay? Now we don't know about the vibration of what can take power out of the ether, but we know about what human beings can do, okay? So we have an electrical charge. Now, you ever, you know, when somebody walks into a room and the entire atmosphere changes. Sorry?
Just move over there a bit, mate.
Oh,
sorry.
Sorry. I haven't got right. I should have, though. So yeah, so these devices, okay, so they tell you, you know, in the official narrative, they're made for aesthetics, to look at, they're nice. But what my eye sees, always, is the tops of buildings that are buried. Look at this clock tower. It's disproportionate. It just looks like a stumpy little tower with this massive bit on the top. And you find it for all of these buildings. It seems that a lot of it is underground. Now, couple that with the technology that we're looking at of resonators, which are these crosses on top, which are made of a specific type of metal, okay, that they don't actually produce anymore, but I've heard somebody in Russia that was trying to reproduce this metal, for it, you could just tap it and it would resonate. It's down to its symmetry, which is why they use this sort of cross shape, and it's basically, it is the metals that it's made out of. And apparently this would resonate and it would draw energy out of the ether, okay? Which was apparently a usable charge, which they would put into these things here, which are like little, I don't know, electricity substations, and then it would be distributed for the population. So, in the past, I can't give you an exact date when, but somewhere in the 1700s, something really bad happened. This is the Tsar Bella, which you can see in the Kremlin, and was on the top of a tower. They say it came down in an earthquake, like Moscow has earthquakes. And it cracked. Now the thing is hundreds and hundreds of tons. Okay, this small section here weighs over 100 tons on itself, the bit that's broken off. So they're saying, I don't know what sort of technologies of the old world could found such an item and then get it to the top of this clock tower in the days of the past, you know, horse and carty days after all. Yeah, so it's exactly the same narrative for the Liberty Bell, for the same date. The Liberty Bell in America's got a big crack through it. So something happened to do with frequency, to do with sound. Something happened to do with sound, okay? And not so long ago in the past. So yeah, golden onion domes, which basically amplify chi energy as well, okay? If you can imagine, if you could see the torus field, you can see the plug, the water going down the plug hole. If you can imagine that in the ether, spinning and spinning, well, these domes, you can see where you've got the spiral on them. Yes. Okay? Well, it spirals and it spins chi energy and it amplifies chi energy, or prana, you know, the energy, because everything in this place is energy and vibration, as you know, resonance. And these things augment it. So what would that do for humanity? Well, I think, and I do believe, that it caused greater plant growth, like electroculture, and I think it was beneficial. I think that we were living a lot longer years ago. I think we've been sold short somewhere. But in this day and age, people are probably thinking, you know, just a scenario. Imagine if the new weird paradigm was this, that they came out, what?
We can't see the screen.
All right. But imagine if they came up with an injection and they said, if we give you this injection, don't worry. Oh, let me finish.
Now move the glass.
Anyway, move the glass. Martin, move the glass.
Ridiculous. I'm a professional YouTuber. I forgot what I was on about now. Anyway, so back to the narrative. Now these buildings, basically Capitol buildings, you see all of America. I've just done a video like the last week just gone of the Capitol building in Washington DC. I don't actually think these buildings were built when they say. There's no evidence actually per se of these buildings being built outside of the domes. You know, you can just presume the building was there already. It's been found after a reset, which is why the founders didn't found it; they found it. Yeah, and then they just dug it out of the mud and then repurposed these buildings. But they're just out in the middle of nowhere. They're massive, and they all go at least 2 stories below ground level. That's guaranteed with every one of them. So I've asked an architect, why did they bury things a level or 2 below the ground in the old days, and he said, oh, I think it was in vogue at the time. He stopped, he realised the stupidity of his comment, and he reflected on that. I could see the shame in his face. It's like, yeah, right. So yeah, this is the old world, this is San Francisco, something I talk about quite a bit, and the destruction of San Francisco just makes no sense whatsoever, but one thing that they don't show you, I could show you photographs, we won't have enough time tonight, is they told you that this city was devastated by an earthquake and a subsequent firestorm in 1906, April 1906. I can guarantee you and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt there was no earthquake.
Wow.
Because I've got the photographs of the entire city in situ and the rest of it's on fire.
Wow.
Do you want to see it?
Yeah, do it, Mark. We believe you, though.
Sorry?
Did you stand out and away with
Okay. What are you talking about me, Karen? You can't see now, can you? I know. I'll do what Mac Devlin does. Cool. Is that better? We'll win, don't worry. Just stick with me. Let's just be grateful we made it this far in life, is it, guys? Woo-hoo. And we're all here together at this one moment to be groovy, which is what we are. Yeah? Listen, have you seen everybody in the world? I'm not going to be horrible, but have you seen everybody? Everybody is just, what the hell is going on? So I'm really grateful that I literally came here today, 4 hour journey, never had a soul to talk to. Yeah? No, don't be sad, don't be sad. I sort of half intended that because I was in observation mode, but still, usually a human being walks up to me and just starts talking. This is how, reality has always worked right through my life. But now everybody's got these little white things in their ear, they're blanking everyone else, and everyone looks like when say I go to talk to them, they look scared. They look scared. Please don't talk to me. Go away, weirdo. I'm like,
Yeah, fair enough, to be fair.
I'm not going to ask them for hugs right off, okay? That's about them anyway. I can't help them if they're not in the huggy mode.
God bless
It's
you.
about them. So yeah, that's supposed to be under Venice. I find it absolutely mind-blowing to think that they reckon that this has happened. You know, these piles are put into what is essentially a swamp, and then they can put this entire city just balanced on top of these wooden poles. Can you see that? Huh? I tell you what, I'm going to go like this. How's that? You don't really want to see me. Yeah. 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 Okay, so yeah, at one time in the golden era Tatari in the past, buildings looked like this. You can see this is a pavilion in Rio de Janeiro, but it's got the Moorish feel again. So what exactly are the Moors doing in South America? But you're going to find this for North America too, especially the Carolinas are just awash with Moorish architecture. Now this theatre municipal is repeated everywhere. You can see exactly the same theatre in Prague, you can see exactly the same theatre in Vienna. I mean, identical. So somebody is producing exactly the same buildings no matter where they are in the world. Which, well, the Tatarian civilization, because there was just one civilization, one language here. And I don't think they would even, they said there's ideas that they weren't even eating. That they could have been Breatharians, that they could have gone way beyond that, you know, with spiritual, you know, evolution, if you want to call it that. And then something really bad happened to humanity, where we come to, you know, the state that everything is in now. But that was through design, and I do say there's a narrative out there of the Phoenicians, okay, the sea peoples. They came in with trade, using drugs, alcohol, what we might call you know, like Marxism, if you like, the degradation of society, which is what they've been doing. And this is still playing out in the modern day. But, you know, in the past we had living architecture that would shift your consciousness, that would move you. Yeah, I've been in some rooms where, like the Arab room in Cardiff Castle, it's got this, I got pictures of this sort of serrated Arab sort of looking. It looks like it's alive with psychedelia, is what I'm saying. This stuff looks absolutely alive. And if you stand under it, I literally felt a shift. I felt a shift in my consciousness, which the architecture was producing. So architecture can shift your consciousness. So they knew that, the powers that should not be, whoever's doing this, and they degraded the architecture to the point of brutalization and just steel and glass. So that when you look up at a building now, your soul's not full of, oh, that's absolutely beautiful, like this sort of, you know, experience. But in the past, you looked at a building and your soul was enriched. So yeah, the cathedrals of the past, the Gothic cathedrals of the past, they were a chi amplifying energy. If you can see these columns here, with the highly scientific term of knobbly bits, which I invented, knobbly bits. Don't worry, it's in the Urban Dictionary along with Antiquitech. This can catch on. So, no, this is in Massian, right? Now, this church is interesting for this reason. A lot of the churches, see these towers here in the middle? Yeah? They had them things put in, and there seems to be no reasoning for them outside of, you know, they look a bit nice. They had exactly the same one in Notre Dame Cathedral. It was on fire back about 10 years ago. Can you remember that? Yeah? So they sort of eradicated that one. You know, there's, you know, a little bit of, ooh, it looks a little bit like an old age 5G mast or something, you know, or an antenna of some sort. But I really do think that these were doing a similar sort of thing. I think that the churches hold memory. I think the stone, the crystalline structure, I think that they hold memory. I think that when you go into a church, I think that the whole thing with this awakening process that everyone's going through is, I think we're just remembering. I think that's what's going on. The unveiling, the so-called unveiling, is us remembering our place and who we are here and what we've been doing here. You know, because we come such a long way, you know, because this civilization is based on fear. Yeah, and that's not the way it's supposed to be. This is supposed to be a civilization based on love. Yeah, and that's how this civilization would survive. Instead of suspicion and people just scared. You know, if you look at, you know, if I could have just projected myself to the future and see how it would be in the future, I would be like, oh my God, they're a bunch of sissies. What happened? But they are, which is great because I can fight them all now, Karen.
Go Martin.
Yeah, it's fun. I beat up Bruce Lee in my dreams, so don't even knock it. So yeah, they've all got these things. So we do think that the transport of Tartaria was air balloons, so it would be nothing to, I guess, to just moor an air balloon up into there and dismount and get through into a staircase. Same with all columns of the old world. So there it is, Notre Dame Cathedral. There's that tower. Now that tower wasn't there on its initial design, and apparently it was put up in the 1850s. Yeah, because I got older pictures. Yeah, older pictures, and it's not there at all. When I looked into
Why
it.
do you think that is, Martin? What was the specific part of them putting that in, do you think?
I think it's to do with actually degrading the antiquity.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think the whole thing with Antiquitech is I think that it's a sleeping giant. I think that it's like volcanoes. I think that it's still awake. It's still like dormant, if you like.
Mm.
And the thing to awaken these devices, okay, is consciousness and our frequency, a sound. So when we all change our frequency to a place of love, you know, and you know, above all be kind, which is what we're supposed to be doing, yeah. These things, I believe, are going to activate, and then this place, this realm, will be something that we can't even imagine. Okay, like the Celestine prophecy on acid. I mean, everything will be just absolutely fantastic. Look at that, though, compared to the world around it, though. Can you see that? This is in France, but yeah, or Milan actually. But have a look at that. The old world is just like, it just sticks up out of the old world. You know, this stuff in the foreground. It's the same.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's supposed to have taken like, you know, an eon to build as well, according to the narrative. But, you know, you think all of these decoration, these knobbly bits and all of that is just part of just trying to make it look nice. It's not. It's part of the technology. You know, if you see this rose window, you know, I went right into rose windows, and the composition of what went into the glass, you know, there was cadmium and there's lead and there's, and these sort of materials could augment sound, meaning the sound will pass through them. And these lead windows here, these rose windows, have got cymatic patterns in them, all set to a different frequency. So it's, again, a highly complicated science fitted into the Gothic cathedrals, which are attributed to being built by monks with copper chisels. That's what they say. Or horse and carty. So, yeah. And scaffolding. So, yeah, buttresses. So you can see these parts that keep the wall in place, apparently, called the flying buttress. But what you find is a lot of these cathedrals, it's overdone. Like, massively overdone. If you ever see Lincoln Cathedral, they've got massive buttresses, but an elevation that's nothing like 12 foot high. The reason being is because I think they go a damn sight deeper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, knobbly bits. So yeah, it is a technology, and you know, if you ask AI about all of this, it's in the camp of agreeing with everything nowadays. Like the Tartaria and the mudfolk thing is a thing, according to AI. And all of this stuff built at least 500 years ago. What we're looking at here, but I'm way off of time,
Keep going, you're good.
is the great expositions, the world's fairs, most mind-blowing things ever. Every single place you can imagine in the world had these. This is the San Francisco one, one of the biggest, the Pan Pacific Exposition, and every single bit that you see here will eventually be destroyed. Because they say that they built these things in less than a year, and then this one in particular was only open 8 months. Okay, it apparently gets a few million people through, and then they destroy the entire place. There's a few little bits and pieces left. So the narrative is that they built these temporary, okay? plasterboard, plaster in Paris, and nothing was solid. But that's not the case, because there's so many places that are still here today, like in Paris and in San Francisco and Chicago. So, music is liquid architecture. Architecture is frozen music, and that was according to this chappie here. You can see the somatic patterns at the bottom. Excuse me? What is it? What?
You was just in the way, Mark. Don't worry, they're moaning.
Again.
You need to lie down.
You need it after this, Cat. So yeah, somatic patterns which show you that they have literally intended different frequencies in the windows of all the churches, and there's no two of the same either. So they are musical annotations in church windows. Why are they doing that? Well, inside the churches are organs. Okay, organs that are good for your organs, good for anything being with org. And look at this civilization that went before us. So yeah, they reckon that they built all of this, and then all of it was dismantled and destroyed. And the places that are there now, this statue actually exists on a roundabout in Chicago. Yeah, the rest gone. Fire, in this case. Chicago had a fire, the fun fair went up, and a lot of these buildings went up. And they're trying to lead us to believe that these were built in a year, and they were only up for 8 months. And it's the same for all of them. London had a big one called White City, which was basically a World's Fair. And it looked very much like this as well. Big green domes, all of the Tatarian style architecture, all based on the Phoenician waterways. Venetia, Venice, the Venetians. The Phoenician home city of their watery wickedness. And you can see the Phoenicians are all over this architecture. They had these, you know, the watery thing with the mermaids, you know, and the floats and the, well, just the water. Dolphins, those are dolphins. And they got these strange whales as well that are not quite whales that you always see as well. They got like these big, massive mouths, and they're not really whales. So yeah, Chicago, yeah, completely burnt out. This dome, that went up in flames as well. And they're trying to tell you that all of these bridges, every single bit of stone you see here was built temporary and it's completely disappeared. So I think this is this is one of the most mind-blowing. This is on the banks of the River Seine in Paris, right? That same stretch today, not one of those buildings exists except for the Eiffel Tower, right? And there's a field there now. A field. There's nothing there, nothing. There's a hand.
There's a hand.
So yeah, so they built all that and it's just destroyed. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's almost like we're living in two parallel timelines as well. Now, if you look at the, well, you can see the Eiffel Tower. If you see on the first floor here, you can see these little bits that are on top here, little bits of antiquity. Well, apparently they don't exist in the modern day. Apparently there was a restaurant fire that went up the entire tower and burnt it in the 1930s, apparently, and took out all of this technology. So I think, you know, it was going to be used for an antenna anyway, but I think that they took out part of its technology. But as well, I think it's disproportionate. What I mean, it looks way too small. In the modern day, under this, there's a 6-line highway with like massive like reservations and like restaurants over there and restaurants over there. Under that, it's like it's almost a smaller Eiffel Tower. I don't know. I got loads of photographs where you just can't, it just doesn't fit up. It looks like it's just way too small. People look like really, really big under it, and it's like, wait, look at the modern day. Wow.
What's that, Mark?
Yeah, Chicago. Yeah, so basically the deal with these is they were just exhibitions, like museums, okay? So a million people go through. You can't buy anything per se. You go in there and you look at what a country looks like. So there's the German exhibition, the Danish exhibition, the Japanese exhibition, where you go through and they literally, predictive program will tell you, or brainwash, the new people who arrived in this place, what the rest of the world is like. Well, it wasn't really like that anyway. You know, it's just this archetype of what Germans look like with Liedtke, and this is what they're doing, you know? But the world's not really like that. So yeah, the Victorians, they call them. Well, I call them the Tatarians, but you can see everybody is dressed in black. So they all say good morning to one another. So what are they mourning exactly? Hmm? And Queen Victoria, what was she victorious about then? Yeah? So yeah, everything really spooky. Every building you see in there has disappeared off the face of the earth, and every single person is long, long gone. Crinoline gowns, they were insane in themselves. I looked into that. Turns out, in Britain alone, 3,500 women got killed. Crinoline gowns. Yeah, apparently they were highly flammable and they went up in flames. Same for linen bedding and linen nightgowns that people used to wear. Apparently loads got killed with them. So they, in my mind, I think that because these were targeted towards people with money, I think that they were weaponizing clothing. And I think that they're doing it in the modern day.
Linen vibrates at 5,000 hertz.
It's mentioned in the Bible, isn't it?
It's very good for the body. So is wool, but wearing them both together cancels it out apparently. But
right, I hear that.
Linen is 5,000, so is wool, you know, it's good for the body. Yeah, that's why you have linen bandages for healing. So,
yeah.
So what were you saying? What happened with the linen?
Well, there's,
I think
for an
they
example,
demonised it by setting it on fire.
Oscar Wilde's sister, she went up in a ball of flame, where she was sealing letters and writing letters by candlelight, and her linen gown caught fire.
How?
Do you think they were demonising
She
linen?
was too close to the candle.
Sorry?
She was too close to the candle,
Oh, I see.
and she went up in flames. There's a few cases, there's a few famous people who have lost family members through accidents with flames and clothing, especially crinoline, because I was treated with stuff like, I don't know, linseed maybe, but something flammable. Yeah, and it caused like a bell, because it was a bell shape, it caused a bell effect. And yeah, and so it was hardly any chance of surviving.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you look into it, Google records 3,500 women, but I think it was damn like what, if that's just the official narrative.
And that's just the clothing.
Just the clothing. But it was targeted towards elite clothing, you know, it wasn't so much the working people, they were in shawls and stuff, so.
Oh, right.
So I'm thinking that it could have been to take out the the remainders of people who knew about Tatarian technology that were still left.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, they targeted them with weaponized clothing, maybe.
That's weird.
Yeah, well, there's loads of aspects. You know what they do in the modern day, they target us with everything, don't they? So, yeah, I don't think...
Imagine what our modern clothing would go up like.
Well,
Polyester's terrible.
I'm not so sure about the modern
Oh,
clothing.
I know, and you can't avoid it now.
It's bad for you.
But the frequency on polyester is just not right, is it?
No.
But
You know?
everything is polyester now.
Well, no, I can only wear cotton.
No, it's hard to find.
Well, I make sure I can, because I can't wear any of that baby stuff
No,
on the
I
skin.
can't.
It just, no, cotton.
It's a pretty building though, isn't it?
Yeah, the return to building is beautiful. So yeah, that's gone as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is a shame. But all of these statues, the Phoenician statues as well, it's all about the water and the fountains, you know, it's definitely aesthetic. But yeah, that entire civilization, long gone. I think it was evidence of what the world did look like. And I think that they're just giving us the narrative of, that makes no sense, that they built them in months, used them for months. Yeah, look at that, guys. Yeah, does it make any sense? Because it doesn't to me.
Martin, can I ask you something?
Yeah.
A lot of people think that they go into the millennial reign of Christ with this
Yes.
wonderful architecture.
Yeah.
They go into, they bring it biblically and they do this thing, right? Where the whole of the architecture is angelic and wonderful for what it is. Is that where you go from, Martin? Do you think that? Do you think it's a millennial reign of perhaps Christ that built this wonderful realm for us, or not? I mean, it could be, it couldn't be.
What I will say is the millennial reign of when we were in Christ consciousness.
Okay, good.
Okay?
Okay.
Which we're going to start, I think, which is what's going on now. I think everyone's stepping back, going back into that. You know, this place has been dark for too long, man.
Okay.
You know, whatever's going on. I missed it earlier on, but now I got the eyes to fucking see. Excuse my French. I can see now the game, you know, and I can see what they do to us, and it breaks my heart. And there's so, you know, few people left, guys. I know it sounds bad, but there is. You know, I'm out in the world all the time. I travel all the time, and it's just getting increasingly difficult to find an actual human being that I can sit and have a conversation with who's loving. What happened?
They've been trying to kill God. for a long, long time.
Well, yeah, this is what they do. This is I know, but
and they're just bringing in darkness. Like Islam is about black box.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. Listen, I don't. This is a Christian country.
This is a Christian country.
Yeah.
It should be a free country.
It should be a Christian country.
Well, anyway, I have been christened. Okay,
Oh.
my mother christened me at 8-year-old, and she bought me a cricket bat and cricket ball for christening presents to bribe me into doing it. Okay, she said, "You're really, really wicked, and when you die, you'll go to hell unless I get you christened." Yeah, no, I wasn't even that bad. I was just a bit naughty. Giants. We like giants. I think there is evidence, a lot of evidence, that we coexisted with giants in this realm. Okay, this is in Patagonia, place where the Welsh ended up apparently.
I was born there.
You was born in Patagonia?
Yes.
Round of applause for the man in Patagonia.
Miguel, my brother. Do you know any Welsh in Patagonia?
When they got them Patagonia because they found big
Giant stuff.
No.
footprints.
Footprints.
Spanish.
Really cool.
Yeah.
See?
They
Boots on the
think, no,
ground.
it was actually the rockets that they used to go on the snow, but that's obviously that.
Wow, super cool. So yeah, we've had apparently, when we got to Patagonia, there was apparently populated by giants, and right the way through Antiquity, everything from Inky 2, right the way through Mesopotamian, Assyrian, all of the ancient cultures all have giant dudes, including the people of Egypt. And this guy here, he's 7 foot, 5 inches tall. I see lots of photographs of this guy. He's a really serene, sort of spiritual ambience to him. He's a really beautiful human. You see him later on in silks. So, you know, there could be a case that, ooh, look at this. This is a jester one, and they even give him a little tiny pair of budgie smugglers and woolly underpants. Why did the artist do that exactly? It's very strange, I think, anyway. So yeah, giant jester in the past. I think this one's by Dor, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so he's like getting out of town. He's like, "You're all so selfish, you don't give me enough food." So apparently this was in a Masonic lodge, dating from the year 1593, showing an actual giant body of Adam in the Ark of Noah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can't see it, Martin. Martin, still cold. A little bit.
So, interesting if so. I haven't found any backup before to prove that. Now, this book is really good. This is from the late 1800s, and it's a French novelist, sort of futurist, and this is about other lands further south. So, he literally proposed that there was other worlds out there, suddenly, somewhere, which were occupied by beautiful giants in beautiful silks, and people with electromagnetic or maglev technologies like Mary Poppins umbrellas, etc. And he proposed them to be in the place where we suppose Antarctica to be, which I'm going to get to shortly. You can see these lovely giants in the beautiful silks. So, and there he is in that same Mongolian guy in his beautiful silks. So I don't know if any of you know the Flat Earth book, The Smoky God.
Yes.
It's a classic, isn't it? It's one of my favourite all-time books. So that's how they explain, you know, Olaf Johnson explains the giants in the North Pole as being in these long silk clothing and very serene. I'm not sure about this when he's doing the old Masonic hand hiding thing, but I've seen lots of images of these, but they look, you know, you can't trust them all. It's like there's loads of images of like giant skulls and stuff, you know, you can't trust any of that. But things like this, for example. So this guy is obviously tall, and they are being a little bit cheaty by giving you smaller people, I guess, but it doesn't stop the point of why were they building the door frame so high? Okay, and then they got this like little wooden recess to cover it over later. Everywhere, you see these absolutely everywhere. I've seen loads in Bournemouth today. These really, really high doors for giants. So, big bird. Be nice, wouldn't it? Can't complain. So, Antiquitech. This is something I've been talking about for years. I really do think that the buildings were fitted out with energy gathering technology. I think all of this was phased out late 1800s, just in time for the Edison sort of Tesla narrative, which I think is just another narrative, which is all it ever is narratives. Because that's what's been going on. So this is in Antwerp, lady. Yes, some strange, like, I know you can see the cars in the 1930s, but I'm not sure what that technology is there. It really does look like, doesn't it? You know, I'm thinking of radar. I just can't think what it would be. They did have radio, obviously. Energy transference across bridges. This bridge is not looking absolutely beautiful just for no reason. I think that they're transferring the charge that they produced through Antiquitech across rivers using these sort of configurations. And this is what's going on with a lot of these self-illuminating lights. There was no one going up on a ladder, okay, and lighting this light every night, what they want you to believe, with a stick and lighting, these gas lights. That's not happening, because there must have been 100 million gas lights to do that to every single day, and then out on every single day. Makes no sense. So I think that is a narrative as well. And Antiquitech, okay? They tore it all down. All of this technology you see here of wireless masts was all gone by 1900. Wow. They took it down just in time for Tesla. And there's your beautiful Tatarian building. You can see these lower windows just down here. Now, when you get onto Bournemouth, if you haven't seen this, how long are we off time, mate?
10 minutes, mate. Go.
Sweet. Let me just whip through quick. Mud flood. This is assured, okay? Now, Rome, nobody give two shits about Rome 100 years ago, okay, in the science books, in the history books. No, it's a new thing from Hollywood, okay? All of these knights in the round table, all of these narratives are Hollywood, okay? When you look into the history itself, not even a footnote. The Romans weren't even a footnote in history, okay? So this is in the 1930s, Rome, and Benito Mussolini had it dug out, literally, because it hadn't been dug out before then. I mean, before the 1930s, it was all in mud.
Wow. Didn't know that.
He had a big thing on antiquity, and there's a lot more going on with Benito Mussolini. When dictator of Abyssinia. So yeah, this is Seattle. Have you ever seen these?
No.
Yeah, no, they're not. These are mounds of mud. Seattle apparently is one city like Chicago and other cities like St. Louis. One more.
New Orleans.
No.
New Orleans.
No. Kansas City, or mound cities where they had the mud sliced flat and basically taken away. So they were ancient mounds, if you like, from the old world of America. So this is a late 1800s Egypt photo. Look at the columns behind. To me, they look wet. They still look wet. I really do think, look at the cracks under the back of this image here. Just the force of the events that must have happened to smash this civilization. And I don't think it happened that long ago. I don't. I really don't. This is Saqqara in Egypt, completely in the 1800s under mud and rock. And then they just, like with all of the ancient temples, like Karnak, which is the biggest temple complex in the world next to Angkor Wat, was completely surrounded in mud. And they dug it all out, and then they made it these Hollywood places for you to go. So yeah, mud floods is assured. I think that's a definite. This is in Russia. You can see that the road level was where that line is there. So at some stage, these windows here and this door here would have been on ground level. Then an inundation of mud has come in since and buried it up to here. And you can see this time and time again. Okay, bricked up windows, half buried into the ground. Buildings half buried into the ground, which is what I think is going on with all of them. This is an interesting building in Turkey. Shows you loads of civilizations. It starts with apparently Rome, goes up to the Byzantines, and then the Ottomans, and then the modern day. Shows you every transition of civilization. So this is the Binnenhof in The Hague, and as you can see, there's a line here. Okay, that's the ground level in 20 17 compared to the antiquity. So it's definitely altered ground level. There's no doubt about that. Okay? So, mud flood in America, red brickers all over America. Places like Denver, Colorado. Places just you wouldn't expect to have big old totalitarian cities in red brick. With doors that are below ground level. America, no different. This is a place called Cardiff Villa in Cardiff, designed by William Burgess, famous architect. Again, just buried windows down below ground level. Makes no sense to man or beast. This is below Paris, an infrastructure for an older world of columns. You can argue that they were put there after the case of digging this big massive hole out, but the fact is that they dug the hole out and all of these things were already in situ.
Wow.
Yeah, this is in Moscow, the Moscow Polytechnic, which was having a refurb, and if you can see the line here, that's the road there, and the road came right away across the front here, okay, and all you see, these doors here, these windows here, were all in the mud at some stage. And I witnessed exactly the same thing when I was in Prague a couple of years ago, exactly the same. I seen a door that they dug out, just covered in mud. I was like, well that's, how long's that been there? Hundreds of years? Pompeii narrative, earthquakes, volcanoes, smothering entire cities in some pumice and ash, but pumice and ash is actually mud as well. So I think this is just an excuse. I don't think that any of that's happening. This is the best evidence for mud flood you can get. Temple of Artemis in Turkey, an entire civilization that is buried deep in the mud. Look at this. It's the classical world, and it's in the mud. And they've come along, look how high the mud is, and they dug it all out. Temple of Artemis. And obviously this stuff looks like it's been built by giants, because look at the size of the columns. Excuse me?
Martin, they're still moaning that you're cutting the picture out. That's all right. I know.
Give me a pillow, I'll allow the phone to
Martin, what was the...
We whiz through these.
What do you think was the cause of the mud flood itself?
Okay then.
Big deep question, right?
No, I'll tell you what I think it is.
Okay.
Okay, I think this. I think that the Ice Age ended, okay, not 10,000 years ago, like they tell you, but in 2020.
What?
What?
I think that the Ice Age ended in 2020. I think that until that point, you went through all of these cold patches called the Maunder Minimum. There was in the 1600s when you had the Thames Frost there, and then after that we had other, sub-zero periods up to a couple of years of really harsh winters. This hasn't happened in 50 years. Okay, and in the last 30 years we haven't even reached those temperatures. And as time goes on, for us to have a deep winter like we did, won't happen anymore. Okay, so the Ice Age is finished. Now what we're looking at here is Antarctica. Antarctica is free from ice. Not all of it, but this is. They say it's through volcanicity. They say there's land, these valleys are completely clear of ice. What I think is going on is this. I think that as the sun is heating, okay, and as the climate is increasing in the heat, now this doesn't mean that the world will flood, okay? The Plymouth Stone, for example, right, 1620 is in exactly the same place as it was now as it was in 1620. The sea level hasn't rose one iota because the earth is flat and there's expanse of area out there for the water to go. And I think that there is thawing in the ice wall. And I think that others, or whoever civilizations are there, are basically coming through. Okay? And I also think this. I'll give you a big clue here, right? I definitely think that this is the cause of mud flood. When this has happened before, now people have seen two suns. Now if you imagine there's another pond and there's an elliptical of a sun that comes around, it thaws the ice causes a fissure, okay? And then the ice wall, as you know it, doesn't hold water like it used to, okay? And then, yeah, you get... The only way I can explain it is like, if you can imagine like something going ping, like that, okay, like ping, like with the vibration, and that will cause liquefaction. And that will be caused by what's going on with the ice wall, I think. Now, I just want to show you this clue as what I think is going on. Now, they say, in some narratives, that there's all these lands outside, and we're in the middle bit. I can't say that's true, I can't say it's not, okay? But there's, you know, people would just prostrate that. But one thing I can show you is this, okay? There's photographs of ways through.
Summer's Gate.
This, you seen this?
Mm.
Deception Island.
Mm.
So they are literally, yeah. Now this is Deception Island, just off of north of Western Antarctica, where there's an archipelago of islands coming down. Now what you see here is it's blue lagoons, it's beautiful waters, it's serious lack of snow. Now this could be like Club Tropicana, where the drinks are free, where they're all sipping away down there, us presuming, right, that it's freezing ass cold, when really, this is where all the elites are going, and this is where they all are. Because I tell you where they ain't here with us. They're gone, and they've been gone a while. They left the skeleton crew, which is why civilization is falling the fuck apart. It's like, how can you forget to run a civilization, guys? Yeah, they've been doing it forever. Suddenly they're just like, we don't know how to do it anymore. Yeah? Now, if you look at the right-hand side here, you can see that this is a manufactured line. The entire length of Deception Island. Man-made. And they've been down there a while doing stuff. I got like a link for, they wanted like hundreds or like 1,000, I think, forklift truck drivers for Antarctica. Yeah, but I got the link, I shared it on my channel. They're looking for workers for Antarctica. Okay, they want people down there because I think that this place is falling out. You know, they want to keep it like, you know, so we can have the shortages and there's no resources. You're on a ball with finite resources, everything's... Well, that's not true. We have infinite resources, we have infinite everything, because there's all of that space out there they're not telling us about. Yeah? It's all been discovered, Truman. Can't discover anymore. See, I'm not done with that. I can't just imagine that there's just that ball of whatever they say, right, and that there's no more. I really do think there's a lot more going on.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's me for today. I hope you enjoyed that little talk. I just winged it there. Flat Earth British. Okie, okie, okie. Woo-hoo. Flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Martin Liedtke! Come on! Please go to Martin's channel, Flat Earth British, for all his Tatarian hidden history stuff. Please go to Mark Devlin as well for all his stuff, markdevlin.com. I'm not sure if you want to go for another break or you want to jump straight in. Show of hands, break or jump straight in? Break. Okay. Well, you say that, but there are ladies and gentlemen of a certain age need to go. I know, bear with it. Okay, literally, it's 9:45. At 9:55, we have our next speaker. You have 10 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Martin Liedtke, ladies and gentlemen.
And how good does that fit in with what you said about what he's about to do?
What's happened?
And no one... Right, I need a pee.
Wow. Hang on. Lack of evidence. No video evidence of it anywhere. And then you see he's a young man looking like handsome, and then you see him like 50 years later, there's nothing in between. It's like Jesus Christ. That's good stuff. I need evidence. All of it. It's all evidence. All of it.
Right, literally 10 minutes, you'll get this bit down and then
It is traversing the outer central circle.
Literally 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go into the last part of our presentation tonight. It's worth listening for. It's Big Dave coming on. Give it 5 minutes and we'll be with you.